everything that has to do with marketing your personal story, at the end of the day, is personal branding. Okay, and I think that's important for people to really understand first before we talk about the pros. That's number one. When we talk about personal branding,
Welcome to another episode of Entrepreneurship Exposed, currently hosted by your guy Beez, but you never know in the future. We may have some guest hosts. We may have different things happening. Who knows, right? But today, we are on Entrepreneurship Exposed, and we talk about everything related to entrepreneurship, always with a twist of business acquisitions. We have a special guest today. My guy, Jose Aristimuno. Hey, so Jose, welcome to Entrepreneurship Exposed, and you are going to help us today to expose what it really means to market your story.
Beez, what's going on, brother? Thank you so much for having me, and thank you. Yeah, you got my last name on the first try, bro. That's unheard of. So thank you so much for that.
Listen, remember my actual first name is Bjorn. It's a Swedish.
Yeah.
Right, so most people don't get that. That's why they call me Beez, right?
Right.
So
That's exactly
everybody else's name because my name always gets.
You got experience with that.
So how you doing, brother, man?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. We are days away from 2024, and I'm energized and more pumped than ever. I think December for me and a lot of folks, entrepreneurs out there, is a time of planning. It's a time of visualizing, manifesting what it is you want your 2024 to look like. So I'm doing a lot of that for the next coming days and weeks.
Thank you. I love that. You know what? I tell people often, stop talking about resolution, but talk about your goals. Talk about your visions, right? Mark that down. When you say, yeah, I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to start working out and go to the gym. Well, give a more specific goal. In corporate America, we used to focus on SMART goals: specific, measurable, attainable. Oh my goodness, I can't remember what it is right now. It's been so long since I've been.
It's attainable. Yeah, something like that. I've heard the concept before.
Realistic and time bound. That's the.
There we go.
So if you put goals and your vision, you create your vision board, but then you create the goals that help you to reach your vision. That's totally different from saying, yeah, my New Year's resolution is to, go to the gym. Well, how many times a week? What are you going to focus on? You want to lose weight? You want to build muscle? Be a little bit more specific. You want to lose X amount of pounds in how many months? Be more specific, because then it could be more attainable. So I love.
So true. I couldn't agree with you more. And I would tell folks too is, why the heck do you have to wait till January 1st? I mean, who said it? Is there like a magic day? Like, does that give you like a turbo when you started? No, man. Like, start now. If you are as serious as you say you are, start today. Start with a single step. They say every journey starts with a single step, and it's true. So look, if you ain't never been to the gym, then you know what? Go today and just lift a little bit. Lift the lowest weight. Ain't nobody care. Look, nobody cares about you because people always say, oh, but I'm afraid to go to the gym or do whatever because people are going to judge me. Look, folks, you're not that important. And I mean this respectfully. My father used to always say this to me. You're not that important. Nobody really cares that much about you. They might be talking about you for maybe 2 minutes, and then they're going to go into the next stuff. So don't worry about what other people think about you. Do you and go get it done.
Do you. That's the mantra for 2024, y'all. Do you. That's
go.
Right. So, Jose, tell people more about who you are and your background and what led you to where you are today.
Yeah, man. So, I'm originally Venezuelan. I was born in Venezuela, Latino. I'm proud. I've been in this great country of the United States of America for 25 years. I'm 35 years old. I spent a majority of my life doing marketing and communications. I'm a communicator. I'm a storyteller at heart. I lived in Washington, D.C., the capital of the states, for almost a decade. And now I live in the great state of Florida. I got a marketing and public relations firm, VIP Media. But before that, I did a lot of political communications for politicians and in Washington. And I work for a guy that many of folks here might know, Barack Obama. Shout out to right, shout out to President Obama. I got the great pleasure to serve the president on many capacities, specifically as they relate to healthcare. If people remember the Zika virus, Ebola, Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act. So I was in large part in charge of communicating the president's message as it related to healthcare to the American people, African American community, Latino community, you name it. So it was the greatest honor of my life. I lost a little hair in the process, many long hours, but I learned a lot. And I think, it's really when I realized that I said, if I can tell the story of a president, I can also tell the story of ordinary Americans, ordinary small business owners, entrepreneurs. And when we lost the election with Hillary Clinton against Donald Trump in 2016, that's when I decided to pivot and say, you know what?
Hey guys, okay, before we get to the episode, I just had to take a moment to say thank you to everybody that's been supporting Entrepreneurship Exposed. Your guy Beez here, and just having a great time having these conversations, showing you every aspect of entrepreneurship, because there's a lot of things out there that are, seems like all the glitz and the glam, everything looks good, but we want to make sure that you see some of the obstacles, not things that will stop you, but just things that you need to know before you dive into this world of entrepreneurship. If you like this content, you like these videos, please just do me a favor and just make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure that you click the like button, comment on it, just tell me what you feel about each topic so I'll know how to adjust for other topics and have other guests on. And make sure that you hit the notification bell, because YouTube's kind of weird like that, and if you don't have that notification bell, even if you're subscribed to me, you won't see a lot of my content. All right, so if you would like to support us, that would be the best way. Thank you so much. Now back to the episode.
That's when I decided to pivot and say, you know what, I'm gonna create my own company, and I'm gonna start doing what I did for the president of the United States, but I'm gonna do it for everybody.
I love that. And how did you get to that though? To the marketing aspect, and especially the political communications and marketing. How did you really even get into it?
It's a great question, and I think there's not a blueprint for people when it comes to politics. Politics is a very strange and unique sort of industry and niche in a sense. For me, I'll start by saying that it's in my blood. My grandfather ran for politics. He was a senator in Venezuela. So I remember being in political campaigns as little as 2 or 3 years old. Like I literally remember being maybe 5 years old, being in political campaigns in Latin America. So politics have always been a part of my life. But when I went to high school, didn't have the best grades. I graduated high school with a 2.0 GPA, which is the lowest GPA by Florida law to graduate. I actually don't believe I had a 2.0. I think I had less, but they just wanted to push me through the system and get me out of there. And then I didn't go to college right away. And look, I don't think I think college is not for everybody. It really depends on many different circumstances. For me, it taught me a lot of things, but more than what it taught me, it taught me discipline, right? That you got to go to school and you got to learn. I mean, not everybody's got the ability to just learn from a book or YouTube or just personal development. So I needed a little bit of that push, almost like a coach. And then after that, obviously, I've been able to do a bunch of different things. But to answer your question, how did I get into politics? We were talking a little bit about visualization at the beginning of the show. Obama was getting sworn in 2008, the first time around. And I was sitting at home just watching. I used to still live with my parents back then. I was watching, the president being sworn in, and I was so inspired by a guy with a funny name and a funny last name to become president of the United States and being a minority. I was like, man, this is crazy. If this guy can make it to the highest office of the land, what can I be successful in my own life? Number one, and secondly, I kid you not, Beez, I was like, I'm gonna work for this guy. I just know in my heart I'm gonna work for this guy. And that's when I started focusing a little bit more in politics. I joined student government. I became the vice president of student government at my community college. I started really getting involved Model United Nations. So I really started getting involved in the political arena inside college. So I tell folks, if you want to get into politics, you should be doing political work at any level of government or any level of university institution, in this case, community college. And I started really understanding what politics is. I think a majority of politicians, I mean this sincerely, are good people, and they want to do good things for the American people. Obviously, the media is going to focus on the ones that are corrupt and the ones that are doing bad things, because that's what the media It's business at the end of the day. People want the sensational headlines, right? Somebody died and this happened. Nobody wants to know, oh, the mayor covered a pothole or provided electricity for. No, that's just boring, and it's just a fact, right? Otherwise, movies will be boring. What movies are action and drama? The human psychology. People want drama. People want villains and heroes, right? And life for a majority of people is not like that. A majority of life is boring. It's just very mundane. It's the same thing going over and over. Repetition. You want to be successful, repeat, do the same thing over and over again. If it's the wrong choice, then don't do it over and change it. But if they call it a 10,000 hour rule, right? When it comes to repetition, Malcolm Gladwell, it's a great book called The Tipping Point. I don't want to veer off the question, but I just want to say, if you practice something for 10,000 hours, folks, you're going to be successful at it. I could promise you, no matter what it is. But anyways, I said I'm going to work for Barack Obama. And when I finished community college, I got into a school in DC, American University. And I said, look, if you want to get into politics, you got to be in Washington, DC. Proximity is power. So I said, I got to be in the place, in the environment where political decisions are being made. Went to DC, finished my last 2 years of college there. And I started just getting involved in every level of things, started making phone calls, started getting interviews. And one decision led to another, and I ended up working for the president. But it's many small little decisions, right, that make you get to that big finish, to that goal that you're looking for.
I love it, man. But you visualized it, you set the goals, you started taking action. A lot of times people say, "Yeah, I want this, but I want to lose weight, but I'm not gonna stop eating my ice cream." Right, so it's like, hey, well, we gotta take one step though, right, to get towards it. So,
no, and you said something so important, right? It's one thing to say, "Let me lose weight," right? It's another thing to say, "Let me lose 10 pounds in 6 weeks. Let me go on a calorie deficit diet, or let me go in keto." So there's different approaches, right? So if you don't know, it's like people tell me, "I want to buy a home." Well, tell me about that home. What is it? Tile? Is it carpet? What color are the walls? How many rooms? Tell me what's gonna go in each different room. What does the furniture look like? What's the smell of the home? Is there a patio? Is it a townhome? Really describe. So I really did that. I said, okay, well, where am I gonna go to school? Okay, first I need to move to DC. How am I gonna do that? Right? What's the excuse? Okay, I gotta finish college. So let me do that. Okay, where am I gonna live? If I were to work for the president, what do I want to do? What do I like? I mean, you're talking about the government of the United States of America, right? So working for Obama can mean joining the military, can mean being Secret Service, can mean joining the FBI. There's so many ways. The government is a huge entity. So I really wanted to be specific. Say, no, I need to work in the office of the president. I need to work in some capacity that has to do with communications, marketing. That's when I started really liking marketing. And I figured it out. I didn't have all the answers. This is important for people to know. I didn't have all the answers on the first day. I didn't know the how so much at the beginning, but I knew the why. I knew the reason why I wanted to do it, and my why was much bigger than any other excuse, and that's why I was able to, in my view, accomplish it.
I love it. You know, I'm in business acquisitions, and a lot of times people are just, oh my God, I can't believe it. Business acquisitions, I can't do that. That's crazy, right? But the first step is exactly what you said. When you say, no, that's what I want to do. I want to get into business acquisitions. There's actually a plan on how to get it done, and I can actually accomplish it. Other people who are no bigger or better than me are accomplishing it. Yeah, this is what I want to do. Let me now immerse myself in the industry. Let me now find a mentor. Let me now take those steps necessary to accomplish what I want. But it all starts with you envisioning what it is you actually want, which is what you did, right?
Exactly right.
And that's a good segue into story, right? But we're talking about marketing your story, right? This is one of my favorite books. I keep it next to me all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Why Should White Guys Have All the Fun? It's the story of Reginald Lewis. And it was one thing to read this book and see, oh, wow, this is the first Black billionaire and nobody even knows his name. It's the next thing to read the book and see, oh, wow, he became a billionaire by mergers and acquisitions and this specific strategy called LBO, a leveraged buyout. But it's the next thing to read this story, know all of that, and see where he came from, see his background, see his entire story. So then it resonated with me. I said, man, He did it. He paved the way. He showed how you can. I could do it too. So now I envisioned where I wanted to be, and then eventually executed with it. So tell us more. I think we may go right into pop right now, as a matter of fact.
Okay. Let's do it. Okay.
Okay, because we're talking about telling your story, marketing your story, and why it's important. So we want to know the pros of doing that, the opportunities that exist or are coming out, why you need to do it now, and more importantly, the problems when you do it. I got one that I'm gonna give you as a problem.
Okay.
Right? But I want to definitely go through the list. So let's start with the pros. What would you say is really the pro of marketing your story overall?
Sure. So I think, look, let me just give you an overview, right? When we talk about marketing your story, everything that has to do with marketing your personal story, at the end of the day, is personal branding. Okay. And I think that's important for people to really understand first before we talk about the pros. That's number one. When we talk about personal branding, it's really about how you make people feel. What do you perceive? What do people perceive of you? Not what you think of you. I'm sure you think you're a great guy and you're a good person, whatever. But what do other people think about? What is their perception of you as a human being when it comes to value, when it comes to money, when it comes to love, when it comes to relationship, you name it, when it comes to power? What is their perception? So that's number one, understanding what really personal branding is. And that's really at the end of the day what it is, marketing your personal story. Well, the pros, first and foremost, is that personal branding is the one thing that people cannot take away from you. You can get a divorce tomorrow. The government can take away, the bank can take away your home, your car. You can move out, but the way you make people feel when you walk into a room, when you enter a Zoom room, whether it's digital, whether it's in person, that one thing people can never take away. People can take away your money, like I said, but people cannot take away who you are as a person. And personal branding is the one thing that you really don't need any capital to start, because it's what you do every day. When you look at yourself in the mirror, when you start your day and you say, what type of man, what type of woman do I want to be? So the pros, no one can take it away from you. The second one I would say is you can start right away. You don't need any capital. You don't need any money. Money can help you get there faster once you have a message ready to go, whether you use Facebook advertisement, Instagram, you name it. But really, you don't need money to start it. And the third one I would say is if you market your story correctly, you have influence. If you have influence, you have control. And if you have control, you have all the money in the world you can ever want. Because think about Steve Jobs, when the late Steve Jobs, or think about Richard Branson, think about Warren Buffett, think about Bill Gates, Grant Cardone, you name it. They have influence. They can pick up the phone today if they need money, and they will get it right away. If they need a partnership in another different industry they got nothing to do with, they'll get that deal. They'll get it done. Donald Trump, right? And I'm a Democrat. Donald Trump has influence. He can make a phone call and get whatever he needs. So if you have influence, you have the money. So I would say that's a very, very important pro when it comes to marketing your story.
I love that. I mean, there was a show. It was called American Gods, I think it was. And it was just an interesting show because it was the personification of different old gods, like Greek gods, whatever. Zeus was there. What's the guy's name? Odin was there from Norse mythology. And it was the old gods that were like fading away because nobody believed in them anymore. And then it was the new gods, right? And the new gods were all these different things that really make up what society is right now. And one of the most powerful of the new gods was media. And I was like, ooh, that is true, because the whole world is basically, we succumb to what we are told. Everyone is like, right now is the most division in history, I think, because people get to see the media that they want to see, which reinforces the thoughts that they had, which makes them less tolerant to the other side of the coin, right?
Yeah, so 100%.
In knowing that, then it just makes sense that telling your story, controlling your narrative is an important aspect to having that power of which
there's a great saying. Let me say this. There's a great saying, and people say different things. Some people say that it was Beyonce who said this. Some people say it was Stalin who said this. And there's he who controls the media controls the mind. right? And it's such a powerful line because, and I really don't mean it as a manipulative type of way. You can use it for that if you wanted to, but really that's not the point. If you really control the media, which the media is Instagram, TikTok, CNN, fuck you, doesn't matter. The media is just everything, man, in life. They call it the fourth branch of government. Right? We're talking about the executive, the judicial, the legislative, but people say the media is the fourth one, right? That's how powerful the media is. So if you can control, and you said it perfectly, if you can control your own narrative, you're going to do well. Because this is the thing. If you do not control your narrative, if you do not tell your story, someone else is going to tell it for you.
Yes. Okay, so let's jump into the opportunities. That's why, especially now, it's important to control your story.
Totally. Look, opportunities, I would say first and foremost, you can if you have a powerful story, if you don't have number one, if you don't have a challenge, if you're not afraid to tell your story, no one can attack you with that. There's a great movie way back, if you like hip hop, called 8 Mile, right? If you guys remember, obviously the great rapper.
I know exactly what you're about to say. I use this example all the time.
It's true, but
he was about to go on, and then somebody was like, "Oh man, what about when he said something about your mother or blah blah blah?"
And he started just freestyling everything that was wrong with him, or not wrong with him, but everything, all his challenges, all his weaknesses. He exposed his own weaknesses, and he became so vulnerable that the other guy couldn't even say anything. The other guy couldn't battle him, and he won the battle. So, if you're not afraid to tell the good and the bad of your own story, no one can hurt you, no one can go against you, right? So I think that's so important when you're building this narrative. Because another thing people tell me all the time is, Jose, I don't think I have a story. Everybody's got a story to tell. Everyone's got a story to tell. You just have to be honest with yourself, be authentic, be unique, and you're gonna figure it out. But when we talk about opportunities, number one, you can control it. So that's a heck of an opportunity, because no one's gonna tell it for you. Secondly, there's no amount of people, there's no limitation of the amount of people or businesses that you can reach by marketing your story. There are businesses, TV has a gap, right? If you only focus on TV as a method to tell your story, there's only a set amount of people that are watching TV at a certain amount of time. But when you are marketing your story at all levels, Instagram, TikTok, when you go to a networking event in Miami, that's a way of obviously telling your story. When you do a Zoom meeting, when you do a webinar, literally the possibilities are endless. And the last thing I will say when it comes to the opportunities is that you can really pivot into different industries. Like there are businesses, like if you're a lawyer, you can only be in the little legal arena. If you're a politician, but if you market your story, it only opens the gates for you to get into anything. I know many entrepreneurs that might be in business acquisition or that might be in marketing, but they want to get into real estate. You know what's the fastest way to get into real estate? Having a powerful personal brand, because the personal brand is going to allow you to connect with influential experts from that other industry, and they're going to teach you the rest of the way.
I love that. One of my favorite TED Talks is by a guy named Simon Sinek. And it was I always say it's called The Power of Why, but that wasn't the actual name of the TED Talk. I can't remember what it is right now. It's been a while since I watched it. But in it, he talks about how people buy things from Apple, regardless of what it is, just because it's Apple.
Yeah, sure.
Right? So, Apple sells computers originally. Then he was like, hey, you know what? We're going to sell this phone. Everybody's like, oh, give it to me. Mm-hmm. Then if they say, hey, you know what? We're going to sell couches. Oh, give it to me. Give it to me.
No, it's exactly. Well, they're talking. They're getting into virtual reality early next year.
Yes,
that's exciting. I think, what is it that they were
cars.
They're all cars. They're getting into cars, and people are going to buy just because of Apple. Remember this, guys, and this is so important. It's not the best product that wins. It's the best known product that wins. McDonald's is not the best hamburger by any means, but it's the best known, okay? So they're everywhere. So there's no way for you to not see the arch and see that M somewhere, and you know that that's McDonald's. So much so, the power of McDonald's is so big, guys, that you can literally take away the the French fries, the box, just the red, just that specific red. And you can take away the M, and you know that's McDonald's, right? You can grab the can of Coca-Cola, and you can literally take away the Coke sign, and you know that's Coca-Cola. It's Pepsi, the little logo. I mean, that's the one thing. So how cool would it be that 20, 30 years down the line, or 10, 100 years down the line, you're no longer on this earth and people still know who you are, how you make people feel, and your kids can literally live off just of the legacy, the brand that you gave them, right? So it's just amazing. And it's just, for me, it's like endless opportunities when it comes to marketing your story the right way.
Definitely. Because in that same example with Apple, imagine if they did not tell their story properly. People would have been like, oh, why would you trust them for your couch? Because they're only computer guys. Don't trust. Other people would say that, right? But if they're saying, listen, we believe in anything that we do, we could do it creatively. We could, break the mold, and our products are fun. And they're telling the story of they're cool, right? And because of that, you're willing to purchase additional services or products from them.
And they've stayed true to their story since day one.
Yes.
They've been very consistent. And if you look at and I invite people to go into YouTube and just look at Apple commercials from like 20, 30 years ago, they're beautiful. They at the end of the commercial, they say think differently, right? That was like one of their big logos, their big messaging campaigns. If you remember the Macintosh, the old Macs, right? I don't know if you remember, Beez, you might remember this, but you remember that it was like one little PC computer, and they had like colors that were like green, pink, and you could see the inside of the computer, right?
Yes,
So for them, you remember those? They had them a lot in the schools. Like if you went to school, like they always had them. But for me, it's like the cool thing about huge brands like that is, like, for me, Apple is creativity. Right? At the beginning, it was very much for musicians and very much for artists, but then they became mainstream because everybody said, wait, hold on, I'm not an artist, I'm not a musician, but I'm creative, right? Because guess what? Every human being is creative, okay? If you're on this earth, you have creativity in your DNA. It's just given. So I would just say they were just so smart. And like, obviously, PC and Microsoft, it was more like if you were a lawyer, or like if you were more like a box type of individual, you needed a PC. And at the end of the day, is Apple better than PC? No, I mean they're both the same. I mean they're HPs, they're PC computers that are just as fast, okay, as Apple. They're Androids that are just as fast as an iPhone. But it's the way that they're marketed, and they're marketed for different types of people. But Apple has won the marketing game, in my view, every single time.
Hey, one more. I don't want to make this a whole Apple thing.
I don't know. We're like, hey, they should pay.
The expert said this, because think about it. You've seen the new Vision Pros that are coming out?
Oh, yeah, of course. I want to get them. I'm excited. I'm like waiting. Okay. Yeah.
Wait. So I'm a tech guy. I am the guy that gets everything first, all of that. Yeah. But when I first heard it, I was like, it's going to be $3,500. I was like, I don't know if I want it. But then when they had the first event that use case, they told the story of what this will look like. They gave you use cases, because if they left it up to us, what am I gonna do with this thing on my head and walking around? And what do you mean it has a battery pack I gotta put in my pocket? They made it look sexy because they explained it to us first. They showed us how it works. So telling the story was powerful in that case again. And last thing with Apple, and then I'm gonna really move on. You mentioned like the commercials and how they've been consistent. I remember as far back, I mean, I was really young then, and I probably didn't see it then, but I saw it later. Remember, like they did that commercial that was based on the book 1984, where it was like they threw the hammer or something, and that was like way back when, and that was groundbreaking at that time to be able to market a product by relating it to a book like 1984, and we're gonna break the Big Brother approach and all that. Anyway, let's move on.
Yeah, but it's powerful. We can do a whole episode clearly just what they've been able to do. Yeah.
But now the problems. That's what we got to get into. When it comes to marketing your story, what are the problems that people should be aware of?
Yeah, and there are a few. Let me tell you. The scariest one, and the one that people have to be very careful with, is once something leaves your mouth, for a lack of a better term. Once something stays on the internet, it's there to stay. right? Privacy does no longer exist in today's day and age. I think it's funny, and no offense to anybody that has their Instagram private, but when people tell me, "Oh, I have my Instagram private," I'm like, "No, you don't." Okay, like anybody can see all that stuff if they wanted to. Okay, it's not that hard to do it. They can just, somebody can pretend to be someone else, request you, or they can get access to it to somebody else. Like, privacy does not exist, guys. So I tell people, or people who don't want to use social media, and they're like, "Oh no, I don't want to use social media because I'm not a social media guy." Guess what? You have to be. You no longer have a choice to not be social media. And I don't say, like, I didn't make up the rules, folks. I didn't make up rules. I'm just playing the game. And if you want to survive in today's day and age, you have to market. So the problem is, number one is once something leaves your mouth, or once you type something, it's out there. So think about it. I'm not saying be politically correct or have a filter, because that's not the point. But be so true to yourself that you know that whatever you say, it's gonna be okay. Okay, like the good news is that most of the things you say, they're gonna be okay. Don't overthink it too much, because I don't want this to be like a wall for you not to take action. So number one is be careful what you put out there, because it's there to stay. And look, let me just think about it this way. People were a lot of women out there, and it breaks my heart because I got 2 daughters, but a lot of women out there who want to make a quick buck, they're joining places like OnlyFans, and they're putting their bodies out there. Maybe today they want to make the money and they feel like they're on top of the world, making 10, 20, 30K a month from their home. So they're like, hey, I'm not working at a strip club. I'm just working in the comfort of my home, or doing whatever. But my brother, when they're 40, 50 years old, all that information will be out there forever, right? And their kids are going to see that, whoever. So, it's a very sensitive topic, and I understand everybody's got a different situation, but just be careful, right? Just be careful. There are people who say, hey, that's my body, I don't care, I'm going to go out there. Cool. Then again, do you. But just be careful, like, figure out your story. Be so confident in who you are as a person that when you put something out there, you're not doubting, hey, what if? But just something it's a problem. There can be a lot of negative consequences, right? So just think about what you're putting out there. That will be number one. Number two is, I would say, since it's so easy to put information out there, the competition is fierce, right? So if you look about Instagram is free, TikTok is free, right? So whoever, and I'm going to say this is not going to sound nice, I would say one of the biggest challenges or problems is whoever puts the biggest amount of advertising money, they're going to win the game most of the time, unless you go viral. But if the guy next to you has $1 million to put on ads, even if his podcast is not as cool as yours, he's gonna make it before you do, because he's got the money. And the problem is that places like Instagram or TikTok, they now know the game, right? They made us addicted to all these different platforms, and now that you're addicted, they've limited the amount of exposure that you get on their portal. So what that means is, if you have 10,000 followers, folks, and you put a post, let me just break it to you. Your 10,000 community that's watching you, they're not all seeing that post. Only 5% of your community will see a post that you're actually putting out on Instagram. Okay, so the problem is, if you want to reach 50% of your community, you're gonna have to pay Instagram some money, because at the end of the day, they're a business. So they gave us free information for a couple of years, or no rules, so everybody gets addicted, everybody starts making money, and now that people love it, what do? They start charging if you want to be verified. They start charging for this, for that. So I would say one of the problems is that you have to have money to win the game. Don't let that discourage you, because at the end of the day, the most efficient way to tell your story today is through social media. That is the best way to do it. The other problem I would say is that there's a lot of fakeness out there, right? Like, social media tries to pursue the world is beautiful. Everybody's got the Lambo and the jets and all that type of stuff. So that creates a big epidemic when it comes to mental health, or young kids who are watching social media and seeing the guy with a beautiful girl and getting the cars. That's cool, but that's really, let's be honest, that's less than 5% of people. That's less than 10% of folks. So the young kids who do not have the emotional intelligence, okay, that maybe you and I do, because we've been through the trenches, Beez, and we've been through the ups and downs, they might say, oh my God, I'm never going to make it to that. So what do? Taking drugs, drinking, suicidal thoughts. So I would say that's one of the biggest problems, but it's not even a problem about marketing. It's a much bigger problem that even the industry in itself.
No, 100%. So there's this thing called body dysmorphia, and that's where, these, women, kids, men, whatever it may be, they're looking at social media, looking at others and saying, oh, that's how I need to look. Right. But the people they're looking at has filters and injections and surgery and all of that. So everyone is looking at them like thinking that is perfection. And then they get so, depressed with their selves, with their own body and such. I actually took it to another level and said business dysmorphia. Because a lot of times people are looking at other entrepreneurs, other businesses, and they're like, wow, they're making it. Oh, they got the Lambos and blah, blah, blah. But, they may be renting that Lambo. It may be a lot of reasons there that you're not seeing.
The parents, many times the parents gave them some of the money to start. So hey, I'm not trying to, to break it to people who maybe had daddy and mommy's money and they grew their business from that. That has merits on its own. But let me just be honest, it's a little easier if you got $1 million to start, folks. That's just the rule, Donald Trump made a bunch of money, and I don't want to get into politics so much, but his dad gave him a bunch of millions of dollars for him to start. So hey, again, if you made it, there's a lot of people who got money from their parents and lost it all, right? Because they didn't have the knowledge or the expertise to continue, because they didn't make that money, right? Sometimes when I'm a big believer in this, sometimes when you get handed things, you don't understand the value of it, right? There's a great people say, Jose, well, if you're doing so well, why do you if you love helping people, why do you charge for your services, right? There's that thing in our business, in our world, right? People say, well, you should do it for free. When you pay attention. Right. So when you pay, you show up. So you got to put some skin in the game. That's just what it is,
100%. And I'll give one last problem that I've experienced as well when it comes to marketing my story. By putting it all out on there, and this is media in general, your words can be twisted. It's one thing where you said, Jose, that, be careful once it leaves your mouth, it's out there, right? But it also, you could think that, oh, I did it all right. I did everything good. It left my mouth and it was actually something positive. And somebody could take it and twist it and make it something negative. Perfect example. I always talk about business acquisitions. I always talk about baby boomers are some of the most motivated sellers right now of their business, because they're all retiring and they plan on giving it to their kids, but their kids want to be TikTok stars and YouTube stars and they don't want the business. So now the baby boomers like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. And in swoops people like me who are like, listen, it's a mutually beneficial situation. I'd be happy to take it over. I want to focus on those who are motivated, and you want to get the business, off your hands and get compensated for it. So that's a perfect match. Then I've had brokers who've heard me say that and then come back and said that, oh, you're being predatory towards the elderly. What? Like, that's not what I said at all. But you get the point. It's like, that's another problem you have to navigate around. And to be honest, I say marketing is a very tricky thing. When they came out with, for example, Black Lives Matter, if they had thrown one more word in there, I believe it would have had less, pushback from the opposition.
Sure.
Black Lives Matter too, right?
Yeah,
so now
exactly.
if they said that, then they would be like, well, yeah, but all lives matter. And they would say, yeah, I know all lives matter, because I said Black Lives too, with all lives, right? It would have been a different fight. Right now, it's like people take it out of context. Well, you're saying that Black lives are only matter. No, I didn't say that. I was just saying. So marketing is very, particular.
It's tricky. And let me add one more thing, and I agree with you 100%. Now with artificial intelligence, there are issues that people can take a picture of you or a video of you, change the words that you're actually saying, and change the movement of your lips to match the fabricated video or the fabricated speech that you gave. This happens in politics a lot, especially in Latin America, and places like Russia, China. So that's another thing. I would say this, in order for people, look, if somebody's making fake videos of you, that means you're getting big and you're becoming somebody. So if that's not happening to you yet, you're not big enough. Again, not everybody wants to be, Grant Cardone or Barack Obama or whoever, right? Everybody's different lives. But being a very successful entrepreneur, and if you have millions or thousands of clients, there's gonna be somebody who didn't like your service that's gonna say you're a fraud. There's somebody out there who didn't like your service and they're gonna say you're a scam, right? So that comes with the territory. They say if you can't handle the heat, get out of the kitchen, right? So again, if you want to get into the jungle of marketing. If you want to get into the jungle of entrepreneurship, just know there's going to be snakes along the way. There's going to be tigers and cheetahs, and just be ready to give it a fight and fight back.
Awesome. Well, Jose, man, you basically helped us today to understand why it's important to market your story, but also how to navigate around some of the pitfalls and the problems that people will undergo. It's just part of the game, but it doesn't stop us from doing it, right? That's the key.
Exactly right.
So thank you, brother, for that. But tell the people where they can reach you to learn more or to connect with you, to use your services. How's the best way to get in touch with you?
For sure. So on Instagram, it's at Jose Aristimuno. It's right there. If you guys see it under my name, very easy. If you wanna, so if you send me a DM, I'll get back to you. Might take me a couple of days. Sometimes it takes me a week. I get thousands of messages every week. So, but I really take the time to reply to as many as I can and help you. Drop a comment on one of my photos to help you out. I really, I'm a people's person. At the end of the day, I come from politics, so I like to help people as much as I can. That's number one. Number two, my website, VIPmediasolutions.com. All of our services are there. We do private coaching, we do group coaching, we do coaching on branding, on sales, on TV, television interviews, how to drive yourself, tonality, facial expressions, how to dress, all that type of stuff. And obviously, if you're looking to get press, digital, TV, radio, podcast, we can do all that for you and more.
Awesome. I love it. And you and I got to work on some services together too then.
Let's do it, brother. Let's do it. You're already big, but we can always go bigger, right?
We can always grow. Let's go.
That's right.
Well, thank you, Jose. It's been an amazing conversation.
Thank you,
I really appreciate it. Looking forward for the next one as well, and the different partnerships that we will definitely do together. Everybody in the audience, y'all already know what to do. You should already have liked and subscribed to wherever you're listening or watching this, whether you're on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, make sure you also check that notification bell, right? So you want to be notified of conversations like this. You want to be notified of how to improve your marketing, what different business strategies to get into, and also about business acquisitions, right? Everything has that twist of it. So I will see you all on the next episode of Entrepreneurship Exposed, and we'll have more conversations like this with Jose. Thank you again, Jose. I appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. Thanks a lot.